Great. I think we should be seeing it now. Appreciate everyone's attention during the session, and the lead-in presentations before me, I think, are good perspective on what the clients and the projects are looking for. What I've been asked to do is provide a little bit from the vendor perspective, and in particular, what was done when Amala, one of the mega projects that was spoken about early in the keynote address, what they did when they made their original selection. So I noted during the keynote, a couple key points were made by David and the team there about what they needed and looked for at Amala and Aula. And some of the things that came out were single source of truth, start with the end in mind, need for a digital twin, use for planning through constructions and for operations, completely connected systems, and respecting the data sovereignty. Those are all critical things and relevant to these mega projects. What I want to talk about in my session today is about asset information management, and specifically where our system can help support that. Specifically, as I said, I was asked to talk about Amala. I'll tell you a little side story about that in a minute as this goes along. Our solution for this has been used on a lot of mega projects, so it's very well proven. Couple of these may come into discussion here during the course of the next 8 or so minutes. But what is Amala for those that aren't entirely familiar? It is part of the Saudi Vision 2030. It's along the Red Sea, very few advanced tourism destination, hundreds of programs, each with their own projects. I'm probably low on the number hearing David from earlier in terms of the size of the program, but obviously what's critical is the common data environment and the data sovereignty. And so a common data environment can be done within one client's application. It can also be done across multiple applications where systems are tied together through interfacing, and that can work very, very well too. So why in 2020 did Amala select InEight? Well, they preferred a common data environment within one system. They felt it would reduce errors and double entry and constant upgrades and additions and modifications to these interfaces, that the system was designed to be connected. They reviewed it, they selected it, and really the first phase was to look at what they defined as their initial asset information management of document, model, and what we call completions. It's pretty much handover. And this is consistent with what my colleagues prior to me had stated. Now, what were the advantages? They did like the one vendor. They liked them connected. They felt the technology and experience was very positive. It was designed from an owner perspective. So they did like how they recognized that they were going to ultimately use this for an archive and a digital twin afterwards. Certainly, again, data sovereignty was important. And what you'll see is the modules or pieces of InEight that were utilized for this solution are all available in the kingdom and satisfy data sovereignty with no exceptions required for documents or other connections related to the specific components we're offering. Now, I do have to give full disclosure here. As we were getting close to going live, the Amala project and my colleagues' Red Sea development project were merged. And as a result of the merger, there was an evaluation of systems. And because Red Sea development was much further along, the teams were fully trained on their systems, and we hadn't gone live, a decision actually was made to continue on and put together with the systems that Mohammed had previously talked about, which in fairness are no longer InEight. What I will talk about is what was selected, why they chose it. And again, it's consistent with why it is used around the world. This was just a case of a merger may happen to make a decision, and we fully respect the decisions made at that time. So I just kind of want to quickly fly through here and explain what this means. So InEight is a modular system. So clients can pick the pieces they want and put them together, in some cases like a puzzle, to fit together how they need. In this case, it was a completions or handover product tied to our model, a digital twin and BIM tool, along with their document application. And it really wanted to be able to be a living digital twin to be utilized in the execution and management and operation of all assets. So as a result, their intentions were linking the data to all the models. So it's augmenting the data like Mohammed showed. It's pulling in the documents, tying the documents to model elements, creating issues and deviations, and tip photographs and inspections and everything you could do related to the work, even field performed work could be tied back to the model. Be able to see all the models at once, a common theme that isn't as big when you're centered around a document system as the common data environment, more so when you're a model system focused area. And then obviously being able to look at what we call the complete story, and that is what we call completions. That is equipment handover, it is inspections and the procedures and all the details related to that. And so what we call it is visualize, execute, operate. It's really planning, construction, and operations, really, and being able to use it from the beginning to the end. So just real quickly, fly through some of these things. Being able to capture your asset information and tie it right to the source, connect unlimited models, be able to see all revisions. That's an important thing because as designs change, you may need to go back in time. Harder to do when it's not centered around a model system. And indexing and searching all of this information in a construction and archive sense, specifications, data being used, etc. You want to be able to contextualize the information, so put value in what that model element is. So to that piece of equipment, tie photographs, additional data, inspection informations, as we stated, be able to see upstream and downstream the information about that asset. If I were to shut this piece of equipment off in the future servicing of it, what would happen upstream? What would happen downstream? Would I have to shut off certain operations of the building? How long would I be down? Should I shut down and repair other operations as well, just while I have the service taking place? And then certainly you could light up the data, is what we light up the model from anywhere, which we really talk about. Take your documents, you're looking for warranties, and find out every place that warranty is applicable. Again, see it visualized in the model with it tied back to your document archive system. You want to be able to share views, let all your stakeholders access the system in real time. In some of our projects, we have, and what was envisioned for Amala, thousands of users, of stakeholders, of inspectors, engineers, owner representatives, contractors, subcontractors, vendors could all be accessing the live information with security protocols to keep them in and out of what they need to, but all that information is in real time, and of course is value when it comes time to actually manage the asset at a later time. This includes what was commonly talked about throughout the morning and this afternoon, is the concept of workflows, digitized workflows. And if something holds it up, what's happened, who's the checklist in front of? You could walk in front of a room and quickly identify what is the inspection that needs to take place here before I can proceed. QR codes are often used to quickly pull it up on a tablet to see what is in place and what's the status within any room. And this allows for up-to-date information. I had a client talk about they had a starter on a generator that was being recalled, and they were able to quickly come in and find out every place that generator was used, confirm in the warranty documentations that starter was in place, light up the model, and then able to actually swap out that starter mechanism. This can all be managed again through the workflows. And that takes us to what I think is one of the most important pieces. And at handover, it's not just a digital twin, it's not just documentation, but being able to have all of the information related to the equipment that is part of handover. And some of this is very sensitive, valuable, unique equipment. And you'll be able to see the history on it, see who performed the inspection, what are the elements that are tied to it, any comments, any checklists, any issues that resolved from it. All that information is available and can continue throughout the operations of the system, even while you're now building new assets, new buildings, new areas of infrastructure. You have this as something where you can pull up and zoom into areas of the site and pull up the information for maybe sites that have already been handed over. These checklists can then be reproduced and carried throughout, and you can have common workflows, common forms, common defect lists, etc. Again, hand it to the owner, so the owner's involved, or in some cases, maybe the owner isn't involved, they get the piece at the end. What we were doing for most of our clients, including Amala, was giving them the handover information so that they could all see it in real time and make sure that it stayed with them for the life of the asset. So really, how does this all come together? Well, I think we said it was the visualize, execute, operate. So it's really have an asset library and tie any sources. Other sources outside of the three we wanted could be tied to the system to pull data in, to visualize and light up that data, to track and execute the construction activities, and then quickly link to the documents. So now I go back in and find there's an issue. I want to see some of the correspondence documents, sign-offs, warranty information, et cetera, from the model, which is a little different view than going from the document and looking for the model itself. It's a reverse on the traditional process that's becoming more popular. So finally, just to revisit this, Amala did select us. We were asked to present and talk about this over the course of earlier this year. Red Sea Development Corporation merged with it, and we aren't there anymore. I didn't want to not disclose that fact. But we did, in fact, meet all their expectations, and we were very close to go live. And really, it came around centering around the model, enriching the data on the model, navigation of all the models, contextualizing the information in the models, letting everybody access it at the security protocol level you want, use that model information when you operate, and then that completion story, be able to go back and see everything that's taken place on any important element of that.